Hello and welcome to the Cosmic Heart Podcast. I have two beautiful, very special guests today. We have Jasmine Meyers and Duran Myers. Did I say your name right? Okay.
Yes,
Beautiful. So, I actually met Duran through TikTok. He is an amazing live streamer on TikTok. He is known as the Son of Source. I'm going to read your bio. He has over 15 years of sales experience functioning as a top-level competitor in retail, insurance, real estate, rental property, and vehicle sales. Son of Source is also a songwriter, sound healer, entertainer, and ordained with a history of serving. An ordained minister with a history of serving as a pastor for hospice services. That's amazing. With that being said, he has spent his life communicating with helping others. He has acquired his life coaching certification from New Life Coaching Incorporated and now works closely with clients to enhance their abilities to connect spiritually and heal through frequency, sound, and vibration. And I can attest to that. Son of Source can be found as Son of Source on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, and most popular music streaming platforms. That's amazing. Son of Source also creates crystal beaded collections, that of which can be found on his Etsy store. So I'll actually link your Etsy and your TikTok to both Spotify and YouTube. And so we'll actually have those links there. And Jasmine, lovely Jasmine Meyers, she is the founder of Myers Life Coaching. Jasmine empowers her clients to find their passion, reignite their spark, and freshen their outlook on life. Jasmine received a degree in psychology from Rutgers University and completed her master's in industrial organization and doctorate degree in business psychology. Wow, that's amazing. From the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. These degrees have allowed her to pursue her biggest passions, the observation of life through another person's perspective, and the practice of questioning life's boundaries and assumptions. She currently provides hypnotherapy, individual, family, and marital counseling services, both virtually and in person at Laughlin, Nevada location. Yes? That's amazing. So any links that you have, I'll definitely link your links in Spotify and YouTube too, because I definitely want to get people connected in there. So today we are, for those who are watching and listening, today we are actually meeting for the first time in person, on video. I actually found Son of Source, Duran through TikTok and have actually really when I needed healing the most. And I have to say, as a healer who is a master healer, and I also do source healing, to find someone who I can genuinely come to for respite and feel God's love and God's light and feel that just completely heal every part of me. It's rare. It's very rare, because when you reach a certain caliber in your healing ability and connection to what we call source, which is God, the creator, right? We can't go to any other humans or any other people. We can only go to source for our healing, because we're attuned to such a high frequency that it's not to say anybody's lesser than, it's just that we just can't go to anybody else for healing. So I knew immediately the first time that I had experienced your energy healing on TikTok that it was just so important to the world. And I really wanted to, once I finally had this up and running for the Cosmic Heart podcast, to get you on here. And everything for me is divinely led. So as I would come across you doing your live, it was less, actually, for several months. I didn't see you because I wasn't really on TikTok much. And then one day you came across my TikTok I can't remember how many months back it was, and I heard the message. I was like, oh, it's time. And that's the thing. It's been 3 months now. We've been trying to make it happen, but it's divine time. So I wanted to give you both an opportunity, and whoever you would like to, whichever one of you would like to speak first, to basically share a bit about your backstory on what led you to where you're at now, and essentially give people who are on their journey spiritually, who are like, they feel like they have a bigger path and they have a bigger purpose, but they're kind of just like not really sure what direction to go or how to get there. I wanted to give them an opportunity to hear from you guys, how your journey got you to where you are now, and what you felt in your heart kept you going to push you through the times that were difficult.
Well, as far as you really don't know in the beginning how your journey is going to start. So you're just kind of going through it and learning. So the more you're learning and you start really understanding, really for my journey, it was like I was trying to balance out certain emotions, so
Yes.
and in that and going through certain things, and then as a young child having certain things happen, as far as like certain gifts and talents, like knowing how to do certain things and not being taught, and stuff like that. You start wondering, can everybody do it? So as a child, you kind of think automatically that everyone can do these kind of things and have an
Yes.
ability like that. So it's like, well, everyone can do it until you start really seeing and experiencing different things, and then you kind of suppress that side of you. So when you start suppressing those things, like say just certain gifts and talents that we all have, we kind of suppress them to kind of fit in with everyone else.
Right.
And then when we start really getting into certain things to where we start unlocking those talents to when we need those, and they start resurfacing, it's like, I wonder, why do I always feel this way? I wonder, why am I always drawn to this, or why am I attracting this kind of energy and things like that? And then you kind of get to that point to where you start really exploring and going within, because a lot of times we look outside because we're taught to look outside. And then when
Yes.
we start outside, we're like, man, everything is kind of like judgment and comparison and things like that. And for our journey, it was just like coming together. It was almost like we found each other again. It's because and we did past life regressions and things like that, and found out that reincarnations of couples that was married, that was rulers at that time. So we're fractals, those energies. So it's like when you start really looking deeper and deeper in it, then in the beginning, your ego tries to keep you from actually connecting to it. So your ego is just like, nah, I mean, it's kind of some things is where it's like, yeah, that could be cool. Everybody's something great, and stuff like that. But when you actually start really digging deeper into it and you really start meditating on it and getting closer and closer to like the answer that you're trying to wake yourself up to, because it's like your higher self is sending you all of these messages, but really you don't understand it until till it's time. Till it's time. So you get certain glimpses of it at certain times. So I'm gonna let you speak over. So,
and our journey started in Chicago.
Oh wow.
So we met there in Chicago. Yeah, he was leaving.
I was getting ready to leave. So I was gonna leave that Monday, and I run a truck on Friday. And when I went to go rent the truck, I walked in, and she was actually working there while she was at the doctorate program. And then, and of course, and for some reason though, my inner guidance sent me to go rent this truck because I had a fully loaded apartment that I wasn't going to take back to, and I was moving back to Mississippi. I wasn't going to take that back to Mississippi, so I had no reason to be really in there. You know what I mean? I was like, no reason. But my inner guidance knew why. So, so I had to go back. So I left. I went in and came back, and they were like, my inner guidance was like, go send the fax. So I went and sent the fax, ended up getting her telephone number. I was like, I knew I was leaving, so I was just like, well, once I met her, I was like, man, I wish I'd have met her before I decided to leave.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, it's one of those things. And what's funny is I had prayed and I had said all of the things that I wanted in a goddess, right? Everything that I wanted, and I put it really in the Bible. I put it in the Bible, and I told my brother about it. I told my brother, I said, look, these are the things I want. Boom, put it in the Bible. And he brought it to my attention after we were together for a while that she was everything that I put on that paper. And of course, Source had made some alterations, to it because I had a lot of surfacey stuff on there.
Yeah.
So a lot of surfacey stuff on the list. But it was like once I actually realized this, it was like the wheels were in motion to kind of start the beginning of that journey.
Wow.
To start really, So it was something, and I ended up leaving. So I ended up leaving to go back to Mississippi. And I stayed there 2 days, and it was just something I was like, man, you know what? I told my best friend, I said, man, it's just something, I think I have to go back. I got to go see this through. I have to go see this journey through. And then when I went back, we ended up starting this like a journey of life coaching and really just connecting to that higher self. But it's just in the beginning, though.
Yeah.
You're right, just in the beginning.
That's amazing. That's incredibly beautiful. I love to hear that so much. I have so much to share on that, but man, I wanted to give you, and thank you so much for sharing that. I wanted to ask you, you said it started in Chicago, and then what happened from there?
So we were in Chicago together 7 years.
Yes.
And during that time, we grew spiritually. And we started our life coaching business, I'm going to say around 2017.
Yeah, 2017. Yeah.
That was a big year.
Yeah, it was.
Mm-hmm. A lot of explosive energy was going on.
It was.
Too,
Like a lot changed for us. Originally I grew up Baptist. We have Christian backgrounds.
Yeah.
But we came into our knowing.
Right.
At that time, we really started to understand energy, frequency, vibration.
Mm-hmm.
We really went, you start reading all the books, all the contents, the raw content, everything. It just flooded in a lot of information.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much like the Emerald Tablets, everything really. So by me being like ordained as a pastor, so then I ended up being a pastor of a hospice. So once I became a pastor of a hospice, then it was like I had to learn pretty much all the religions. So, because hospice, you have different religions, different people that see and things like that. So I wanted to be well versed and really understand their religions.
That's respectful.
So when I started doing it, it was just like, because before I met my wife, I had a fiance that passed away of lung cancer.
Oh, wow.
And she had lung cancer for 2 years, so I was her caregiver for 2 years. So I had to use hospice in that time frame. So in that, I saw how well hospice was. So that's how I ended up being a pastor of a hospice. So because I'd been through that process. So in that, when I started begin to learn the religions and things, and I started really get deep and deeper into each religion, and I started really like just studying everything. And then we met Dolores Cannon.
You met her.
We got introduced to her content, right? So we got introduced to her content, and then we started really getting deeper and deeper into the hypnotherapy aspect of it.
What year did you come across her? Do you remember?
Let's see. That was probably around 2018, something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
2018.
Alba Wyman's. We watched a lot of her content at that time.
Right.
So I have two things I wanna mention. So when I was pregnant with my daughter, who's 8 now, she crossed my path, Dolores Cannon, and she was born in 2015, at the end of 2015, and as soon as I saw her content, I was like, I need to do this. This is what I have to do this therapy. So I actually I prayed about it, and I was like, if I'm meant to do this, the money will come, right? So the money came through, and immediately the first thing I did was pay for the program, and I became a quantum healing hypnotherapist. And I did that with her before she passed away. And then she ended up coming to my dreams, and I was just kind of like, okay, I know, but like so much was going on, I couldn't take it on at the time. And then other people's dreams, talking to them about me, saying she needs to do her work. She has a lot of things to do here. She needs to help connect the people. And so she was actually coming to other people's dreams to talk to them, like they were explaining in an office, and she was like bringing them in there and having meetings with them about me. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. So many dreams like that. I could share so many things with you. And then you mentioned emerald tablets, and that did not escape my attention. And I wanted to say 2017, very interesting. And we're going to have a conversation about that at some point, outside of here. But so 2017, my oldest son, Gabriel, this is when he really started awakening. And he actually was constantly telling me, he said, and he didn't know, okay, first of all, I didn't have a lot of conversations with him about stuff like this because I tried to give my children an opportunity to have a normal childhood, do their thing, because they have plenty of time later on to do the other stuff. And they had already been through so much that I was like, let's leave the spiritual stuff to me. I'm going to teach them how to clear themselves. I'm going to do these kind of things, but not involve them in the bigger level stuff, right? So he was coming to me like, Mom, the archangels are saying this. Mom, Archangel Raphael says this, our Gabriel and Michael, all he's talking to me about all this stuff. And at one point he said to me in exactly 2017, he said, we just passed Christ consciousness, and we've just entered into the new age. So the ascension process has officially started. And then he starts talking about the veil is lifting, and he starts talking about the higher dome of energy that's around the earth is dissipating, that everybody's going to start feeling pressure. And and then we had these galactic council channeled messages, some of them BS, some of them not, and saying, okay, this is the ascension report, this is stuff going, and everything my son was telling me was what everybody else was channeling. I was getting the message. My daughter was like maybe almost 2 at the time, barely, really talking, because she was always real quiet. And she was okay, wait, actually backtrack. Her first word was mama. Her second word was no in Japanese. And her third word was Stargate.
Wow. She was tuned in and tapped in for sure.
And when I did the quantum healing hypnotherapy training, I was actually pregnant with her, and I had clients, because when you do that, you have to have like a certain amount of free sessions, right? And so I was doing that, and I had people telling me during session, they goes, that one, she's going to teach you a lot. She's bringing you in. And I was like, oh, okay. They weren't lying. But the emerald tablets, it's interesting you mentioned that, because my son actually mentioned them during 2017, and he was saying certain things that he had seen about them and stuff like that. So we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, so many connections that I did not anticipate hearing your story. Wow.
Yeah, it's like, once we start tapping into it, certain things, because I had 2 near-death experiences, as far as I almost drowned one time when I was
Wow.
very, very young, and I was saved by Yeshua, like literally, like saved by Yeshua, like,
Wow.
and I remembered that experience so vivid, like it's just like it was yesterday. And then I was also saved again. Like, I do music, so I was excited about my first show, the radio station that was telling me, giving me the directions and all the stuff about where to go. And then I went to go turn, and I went through a stop sign, and a truck was coming, and it was right about to hit me in my driver's door, and I was saved. And like literally, the car was like moved. You know what I'm saying? Like literally was saved. And I don't think I had time before to brace myself. I put my arms up and flashed the light, and everything was done. And I was like, like sitting in the car, and I immediately started crying because I knew that I had been saved. So going through those things, but even when you have those certain experiences, through time, it kind of doles you out unless you stay in that energy. So it's kind of like a very, very high energy up here, and then over time it kind of gets to that low point. But when we began, as far as like getting deeper and deeper into, like, say, the channeling part of it, that's when we really started connecting to like our true identity, so to speak. I felt like you was going to say something. Were you going to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say just a couple things. One of them was well, when I was a baby, when I was 3.5 months old, my mom had to have me life flighted to a hospital in Sacramento, actually in California, and divine intervention was her stepsister happened to be in Sacramento with her mom at the time, and they weren't going to start the surgery till my mom got there, but they wouldn't let her fly in the helicopter with me to get there.
Oh,
And
wow.
my aunt was able to sign the paper for her, and they said if it was like an hour later, I wouldn't have made it. So I have a scar across my whole stomach from that, and I've had multiple of those kind of experiences that you shared, and one of them actually I can share with you after you're done talking. It's interesting because I want to hear what you were going to say. That's really powerful.
But once you start really tapping into it, then you start really seeing that and knowing that it's more of a love. So you start really tapping into that love and the light.
Yes.
So what I saw was like golden light, right? And love. So just an ultimate acceptance of golden light. So, and I didn't really feel those experiences until I started really working with hospice. When I started working with hospice, and I would see people weekly, and through a 2.5 year period, I saw like 470 people pass away.
Oh
Because I was
my.
the pastor, but I was also the bereavement coordinator too. So I would be with the people when they passed, but then I would also have to follow their loved ones up to a year after that. So I would send them letters, make sure that just check on them, make sure that they were still
That's
doing good.
beautiful.
For bereavement kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in the connection of it, it was like, it was a pure connection, because even once the person was in that part of just transition, because basically I was there to give them love before they transitioned. Like, so I was there representing light and love, to give them that light and love. Not there for condemnation, not there to make them repent, not there to any of those things. I was always there to give them love. So anytime I pulled up in the car, I felt like an overwhelming sense of light and love come through me. Yeshua was with me. Also, Archangel Raphael was always with me. Always Archangel Michael was always with me, no matter in any situation that I went in. So when I would go in there, it would just be an overwhelming sense of love and light. And every person, from the first meeting, I would always look them in the eyes and tell them that I love them. So I would look at their spirit, I would look at their soul and tell them that I love them. And they would always recognize me and tell me that they love me back. Always, always. So when we look at each other, we would always recognize each other. You know what I'm saying? And that's from all the people that I've seen pass away. And it's like, in that connection, I know that oneness is there. Because when you let go of all the I should have did this, I should have did all those things, and really start really connecting when that veil is real thin, and you start really seeing through that veil, and you start seeing energies and things like that, you kind of let go of all those things that kind of block your understanding.
Right.
And then you just allow yourself to be.
The things
So
that separate us in this lifetime.
Right. So you just allow yourself to be in those energies, and you can see those energies. So when you see those energies, so a lot of times I would be in there with the people, and I would be praying for them and talking to them, but in that sense, we would be kind of lost in our own energy,
Yeah.
And so the people would be around, and we would be lost in our energy. And I'll share a story with you, which was I was going to see, I had to say friend, what I'm saying, a brother, because after I see these people for twice a week for up to 6 or 8 months, then it's like, you know, there's a friendship that we've developed. So,
Yeah.
and so I finally got the call to say that, you know what, it's his time, his family's there, it's time for him to, you know. And so they needed me. They were all waiting for me. The nurses was there. Everybody was waiting for me. So I showed up. I get to the house, and I get there. Me, Light, everybody, we ready, right? But I had this feeling like, man, like I don't know. It's just a weird feeling. So I see him in the bed. He was non-responsive. I grab his hand. I begin to really just pray for him and connect with him. So I'm praying out loud with him and connecting. The family's there. Everybody's there. The nurses. And I felt like this energy. So if I could describe it, all right. So if you can, just a bunch of light beings, right? That kind of stay at one section, and I was only permitted to go as so far.
Yeah.
You know, so I go so far and I stay there. So that was just my point of where I'm supposed to get him, right? So he goes, he transitions, right? So then it was like I felt his energy come back. So his energy came back, and it was just like it wasn't his time, right? So I didn't realize what was going on. So I'm praying for him. The family, everybody's kind of got their head down, right? He wakes back up. He pops up, and he says, first things out of his mouth, he says, "Oh shit." He said, "I'm dying." He said, "I'm dying." He said, "Oh shit." He said, "Okay, all right, well, let's go." He said, he starts trying to get out of the bed. He said, "All right, come on, Duran, let's go." He started trying to get. I was just like, "No." I said, "No, you came back." I said, "No, you were there. You were there, and you came back." He was just like, man. He was just like, it was so real. He said it was so real. He said, I was there. He said, and then I saw your hand like reaching to grab for me. He said, then I reached to grab for your hand, and then I popped in, and then everybody's standing around looking at me. And I was like, so all the nurses and everybody was looking at me like, did you pull him back? I was just like, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. It wasn't his time. I have no say so in that. You know, I was like, don't look at me about it. Everybody was looking at me like, you know, you brought him back. I was just like, no, they told me he can come back. This was, you know.
That's
But in
amazing.
that moment, with the family there and everything, it was just like everybody was looking at me like, "What did you do?" And I was like, "I don't know. I didn't do it." Right? And he came back and he was energetic and he stayed around another year.
Wow.
So he had another year with his family and everything. But it wasn't something that I've done. It was something that he had to come back and complete. You know what I'm saying? Like he had to do
You
that and experience with the family.
you did, but you didn't do anything wrong. You just offered him an extension of source from this side and said you can come back if you want to, if you're not done yet. That's what I
Right.
see. But I mean, it's not like you just forced him back into his body. He had to make a choice on that.
It was like so
That's
the family was
amazing.
looking like, so when it was actually his time, his family, so the family, they called me back over here. So everybody was looking at me like, okay, do it again. We need you to do this. And I was like, you know, I didn't do it the first time, family. I was just like, you know, this is his choice. But what the thing about it, the last time though, it was so beautiful to where everyone knew that it was his time. It was almost like it was just beautiful and serene to where it was beautiful, you
Yeah,
know.
it's amazing.
You know, so when that happened, we all was just kind of like at peace with it. And I was like, man, you know, like that was a transition, you know, and that's
Yeah.
the way we would have wanted to go. You know what I'm saying? Like so,
Hmm.
it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was shocking the first time, but when we came back, we always talked about it too. He was just like, you know, I bounced back, right? He was like, I was like, you bounced back. You bounced back.
That's an amazing story. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that so much. I gotta, just on that, I gotta say, I want to share two things with you. Well, actually three. One, I used to work as a nurse in the long-term care facility. So during that time, not coincidentally, but interestingly, I actually was going through the process of deciding if I wanted to be like what you did, but essentially like it would be like, the person that helps assist, facilitate in the death process. And every time I would pull up to work there as a nurse, I it was consumed with source light, consumed and enveloped and just beaming source light and source love, and just absolutely just, it was like it always just activated as soon as I got there. It didn't matter what I was going through, it didn't matter what hard anything I had going on. It was like the second I walked into that facility or that hospital, it was just okay.
Right. Just boom, melted away. That was
And
it. Right.
yeah, and it was like every moment that I was there, it was I was the embodiment of God's love. I was the embodiment of source love. I was universal presence of just absolute and total love for all of the people there, not just the patients, but the nurses, the doctors, everybody that just needed to be infused. And it was like I saw so many things that I didn't like happening there, but it didn't matter because I knew that I was making a difference. And I had patients that I would walk in and I would get them to eat, and the nurses were like, they haven't ate in like weeks. I haven't even been able to get them to take a bite, and they're just eating for you. How did you do that? And I can't explain it to them, but it's like,
Unconditional love.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unconditional love.
and
It's
that yeah, and I just admire and respect so much you doing that as long as you did. I had one patient that I ended up having her as a one-on-one, so I had to spend a long time with her. And she was to a point where she was nonverbal, and everybody said she was dying, and she didn't have any family. Nobody came to visit her, and I remember I just sat with her, and I had the that song playing in my head, like blaring in my head, "Only Love." Um, I'm trying to think of his name. I think he was on The Voice, or uh, Jordan. I'll have to find it. But anyways, it's that song, and it just talks about the only thing that connects us is just love. And I started playing it, and they didn't think she even listened. Like they didn't think she could even really hear you. I started playing the song, and then I started singing it to her, and and I look up at her, and she reaches her hand out to me, and I'm holding her hand on the little side table, and I'm just there with her with absolute source love just pouring through me into her. And she looks over at me like from the side, and she's just got tears, and she made me cry. And it was just such a beautiful moment of that exact essence of what you're sharing, is just that there is no defining factor other than what the mind creates when it comes to two souls that are just here experiencing a physical form, and we're all, going through this thing together. And some of this the suffering, and just in that bed, and they can't get up, they can't do anything else. It's just like all they need to feel is love.
mm-hmm.
And just, oh my God, I just respect that so much that you did that. And actually, I wanted to share with you also, um, my mom's best friend. So she 20. So okay, so my ex, not my children's father, but he was a best friend of mine and also an ex-partner. Very special soul. He passed September 6, 2020, and then 2 months later my father passed, and that was a really crazy time. And then I started then I was ended up with my partner now, who's the one that I was asking for this whole time. And it's been a challenge. It's been, to say the least. So anyway, so about, let's see, was it a year later? Yeah. So a year later, so this, not this last December, but the December prior, um, my mother's best friend she rapidly just went into like actively passing, and she was dealing with cancer, but I had seen that it was primarily because she just didn't want to be here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
She was just kind of done, and so when I came in, I came in to essentially assist because the source was basically telling me in the angelic realm was pretty much like, okay, like we need you. And so I came in to facilitate. So her daughters were there. Not coincidentally, one of them is my partner's sister from on their father's side. We didn't know that yet. Um, yeah. Um, so her daughters were there. The mother was there, but not at the moment. So, and this is my mom was best friends with her off and on since junior high school. So, but we were always like separate. You know, I was best friends with her oldest daughter. We were growing up, whatever. So anyway, so I come in because I'm guided, and I was like, I really feel like I need to be there. And her daughter, Chantel, she was like, just come in, we need you. And so I go in, and I'm just, I'm holding her daughter. I'm there, I'm rubbing her hair, kissed her forehead. It's just all sorts of pouring through me, and just being present as goddess, right? So I'm there, and I realize I was like, okay, this time is about them, and then I need to come back. So I think it was like a day or two. I came back and I got the message. It was like, okay, I need to tell them like she's not gonna pull through. She's like she's done. So I had to like tell her daughters. I had to talk to my mom. My mom was there, and is this pouring through me from the higher realm, and so I start speaking to her. Her name was Michelle, and as I'm talking to her, it's like I have my hand on her heart, and I'm telling her, like, giving her permission, like it's okay. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to be here any longer. You don't have to if you don't want to. Your girls are going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And I just was really giving her the permission to release. I was like, you did more than your part. Like she did so much she did so much work. She was the advocate for so many people in the welfare, like in the employment and social services office. Like she fought for services for people who didn't have them. I mean, she just did so much work for the community. She was really well respected, and a lot of people showed up after she passed just to give honor to her because she was such a bright light. But anyway, I was the one that came in there and facilitated helping to release her from her body. And I said probably 2 days during the process of her passing, I was actually at home where I was living before, and I was sending these videos, shamanic. They were shamanic videos. It was like just heart and soul. This one woman that I found, she was sitting in a temple in Ireland or somewhere, but it's a song that kept playing and playing. I saw the angelic realm. They were all a part of it. Everybody, I mean, at the point where she was passing, I saw everybody like they were beating drums. I mean, there was a whole ceremony happening, right? And it was a celebration welcoming her home. I have chills right now. And I sent her daughter the video. I said, play this for her, please. She needs to hear this. And so this song she's singing, and she's saying, remember you're sacred. Remember why you came here. Remember you're sacred. Remember why and it's just a constant. And it was like the shaman and the heartbeat, and it was just this whole buildup of like a beautiful moment. And I knew when I told her, I was like, it's time. And then she passed. And I got to be a part of, even though I had to be like, at a distance at that point, the active passing of a really sacred soul. And so it in my experiences and other experiences, when when you're in that level where you're in the in between and you're in the veil, I wondered for you, it's like I had wondered, I was like, because I didn't really try to read you all that much. It's just more like my higher self guided me to you, and I was like, I need to have you both on. I didn't want to just have you on. I wanted to have both of you on because I know you are always the shining sun, and and you're used to that, but I wanted to give you, Jasmine, also an opportunity to come on and like shine your light and really like be present in this, because you guys are a beautiful unified team, and I wanted to honor that. And but I had wondered truly, I was like, man, he's really like, you just found a way to just destroy the veil between you and source, and you just got a full on, constant, just tapped in connection. And I just admire that. And now I understand more how. I mean, you literally faced death head on in
It was
multiple ways.
it was
Yeah, for like 2
unconditional
years.
love. Yeah, for like 2.5 years, it was unconditional love, and what it was, I was able to just be like, I looked at myself like a jumper cable, so I just
Hmm.
able to open up to that unconditional love, and then just be in the moment, just be in that moment. And
Absolutely.
I want to say, as far as the partner part, with me and my wife, it's like we've done this so many times throughout lifetimes after lifetimes.
Yeah.
And it's like, and this time right here is the balance of the masculine and that feminine within our relationship, but also the balance of the masculine and feminine within ourselves too.
Mm.
So it's kind of like we help remind each other of, like, say, certain, where I'm weak, she is strong.
Hmm.
You know? And so it's like that balance of we're able to connect, and I listen. I value her opinion on things. So like when you see like my lives and things like that, it's like we are the team. Like we,
Yeah.
it's like I'm the one, because I'm outspoken. I'm the one that's out there in
Yeah.
front, but it's always that representation of us, because it's like we are that what we're building together, and it's like that representation of the masculine feminine. That's the best way I can say. Because we go way back to Egypt, and
Hmm.
it's like, and the
Same.
I could tell her anything, and I do, and that's the thing about it is I do, and that's the freedom in, like, because we do a lot of, like, say, relationship counseling and things like that. I also do anger management, like, say, for courts,
Oh,
and
beautiful.
so like for Mississippi, New Orleans, we do it for Vegas, so
That's
so
awesome.
so in that, it's just like we do a lot of like relationship stuff. So, and learning really how to deal with each other,
Hmm.
and is to where actually taking my feelings aside and really trying to understand how she feels, because that's really
Mm.
what the thing is. She's taught me that women, about so much about women, that women don't want to be fixed; they want to be understood.
Yes.
So the more, and then men, we want to try to come in and try to fix the problem and things like this.
Hmm.
And then, like, so she's taught me that women want to be understood. So the more I try to understand, then the more I'm able to come in and put my input in on fixing it. You know,
Beautiful.
you know. So it's a balance of that. But I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you speak. I'm gonna let you say it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, our feelings are our greatest gift, our greatest guidance system, our greatest teachers. And, through all your experiences with hospice, it was really like learning how to live from your heart space,
Right.
to function from your heart space, and to really tap into it. Because, the guilt, the shame, the fear, the anxiety, the
Hmm.
anger, it just pulls you out of your polarity. And it doesn't allow you to do the depth of work that you can do for Source when you're not acknowledging your feelings, when you're not tapped into your feelings. So all day, that's what we do. Is we help recalibrate vibrations so that people can understand what's going on within their feelings, so they can tap into their heart space.
Because she is seeing about 7 to 8 clients a day, and
Wow.
that's daily. She's that. Sometimes I have to stop her from seeing clients, because she does. I mean, yeah, it's balance. It's balance, because she sees literally whether it's
I
computer or.
really, I really see with you guys, if you don't mind me sharing.
Oh, please
Uh,
do.
it's and I'm sure you figured this out, but it's like you've had so many, and I see you both have also had where you were the woman and she was the man on a couple of them at least. But you've done this so many times together that you've mastered it, and now it's like both of you have stepped in to kind of help facilitate and teach like how to do this in a more masterful way in a relationship. that's what makes you, and for you, I mean, that's just, Jasmine, for you, that's incredible, because you're literally exactly on your path. I mean, doing the relationship counseling and doing the counseling, it's like that's exactly, I can see it's like that's exactly what your soul wants you to be doing. And I mean, that's just admirable, for the fact that you listened, you took the steps, and you actually fueled the passion for it, for yourself, to make it something important for you. So there's a lot of people that have soul paths, their soul wants them to do something, and they may be bigger fractals and actual incarnations of previous gods and deities, etc., but they just couldn't quite get over that hurdle yet of like jumping fully in. Because we all came in with a lot of fears. A lot of us were executed in different lifetimes for being who we were. A lot of us have felt, almost had that happen in this one, just trying to come out, and say, okay, I'm here, look at me, like I'm trying. But it's not, and it's never about I want to be special. It's just about like I'm trying to listen to my soul and do the thing I'm here to do, and I don't want to be killed for that, or taken, or attacked for that. I just want to, bring love and channel divine light and divine love into this realm, and do my best and try to leave it better than before I got here. But it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful,
Yeah,
amazing.
when you start doing like say stuff that's like questionable to others, because that's one of the reasons why I was fired from hospice. A lot of my patients were living past 6 months because
Yeah,
at 6 months you have to resubmit, you have to recertify and things like that for hospice. And the it's a dark underbelly of hospice too, as far as like, so if they don't recertify, they lose a lot of monies and things like that. So it's a lot of, so they're like, we can't have you in here, healing people. We need them to pass so we can get more people in. And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna stop.
yeah.
That's one thing. Well, it's almost like when you get something, you find something like a new thing, a new ability, a new talent, or whatever. It's like you're not gonna stop doing it just because somebody's numbers are going
It's
down.
corruption.
Right, right. So I was like, nah, yeah, it's fine. So that's when we really wholeheartedly put the emphasis on the healing center, to where we both was just in the place together, because
Beautiful.
we've always wanted to focus on, since she was coming out of the doctor program, we wanted to put a huge focus on building her business, because we didn't want to have her working for people and things like that, because in that she doesn't really have a say. She's just like an employee and just going in.
Right.
So we wanted to have to where we built a way to where we could have the say so and really do what we were led to do, and not really under someone else's umbrella. So we had to create our own umbrella. And I tell you, I mean, when we really started back in Chicago, and then it really we got the office space and things like that when we were in Mississippi. But over time, it was just like, we built this thing from ground up, and it's like, and people were telling us way before, like they were doing like counseling online and things like that, that nobody will pay you to talk to you over the phone, or nobody will pay to you to talk to your computer. And we're just like, yeah, they will actually. They will. We can connect in these ways. Like we can,
I
you can't.
respect that so much.
It just took time, as far as.
Yeah. No, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry. I was curious. So did you find a way to do it through insurance now? That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah,
See,
yeah, she's
and
licensed in both states, so Arizona and Nevada as well, and Nevada be licensed in California too.
little did those people who tried to limit you know COVID was going to happen, and everybody was doing distance everything anyway.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like you have to follow your inner guidance.
absolutely. You have to listen. And for those who are listening today to this podcast, you may not know what that is in this exact moment, or you may have an intuition or a feeling on it, and it might feel like it might just be out of reach or too big of a goal. Don't ever stop dreaming. Don't ever stop envisioning what that guidance is that you're getting, because I've been told to do this podcast for I couldn't even tell you how long, and I've always seen me having a temple eventually, and it's like, you don't know how it's all going to unfold, but you have to take the first step, and then you have to be willing to keep taking those steps moving forward. But as long as you can take the first step, which is absolutely and totally surrendering into your path and asking your soul to lead the way, then everything will follow. But you have to trust the process and enough to know that it's all going to work out. And I was just having this conversation yesterday. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to keep going. You have to push through
Right.
because a lot of times, that your ego will try to stop you and say, "Man,
Yes.
are we going anywhere? Is anybody watching? Is anybody listening? Those
Mm-hmm.
things." And it's like you have to get to that point to where you say, "You know what? I don't care if one person is watching.
Yes.
Then that one person is supposed to hear this message."
Mm-hmm.
So when you have that, then you just start really just allowing yourself to be. you know and when you allow yourself to be who you are, then you stay connected, because if you notice, the more distance from love that we get, the more we feel stressed, the more we feel
Yes.
upset. So it's just like, so I'm distancing myself away from that love, and saying that's what the ego kind of does. It kind of gives us certain negative ideas, certain negative thoughts to distance us away from who we really are. And then when we begin to believe in those things, and then somebody seconds that and says, well, you are that, or you are this. And it's like, and the only thing is, the reason why they're doing that is because they're projecting negativity on you, because that's how they feel about themselves as well. Because this is the life that the ego has created for them, and of course for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're interjecting that. So a lot of times when we begin to wake up, we have to start pulling ourselves out of that life that the ego has created.
Yes.
Back into who that spirit is. And a lot of times, when people are in relationships, one person will start waking up, and then the other person will kind of stay stagnant, and they'll want to be who they are because that's who they are at that time. You know,
Correct.
so it's just pulling apart. It just starts pulling apart.
And
So it's where.
and
Go ahead. Go ahead.
that's, no, sorry, I was just going to say, and that's where the true testament of the connection of the souls really lies, is that person who hasn't fully awakened yet willing to do the work to actually stay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because if not, then source will inevitably pull them away from the person who is, even if you have a soul connection. And I was actually having a conversation about that with my partner as well. But it's just the law of the universe. It's just the way things are.
Mm-hmm.
And that can
Mm-hmm.
be very straining on people who do have very, very deep soul connections, because it's like it's easy to get comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, because as you said, once you get into the process and you start unveiling all these programs and the ego beliefs and all the things that the brain tries to tell you, like Dolores Cannon popped in my head. She calls the brain and the conscious mind Mr. Stupid. But the more that it tries to, take over and like tell you, and override what your soul's saying, the more you realize that that's even a thing, and you start separating ego from your soul self, and you realize like, oh, like all these programs have been indoctrinated into me since birth. And then you start getting deeper. You start
Right.
realizing you have cellular memories that are passed down through your physical ancestors and their belief systems and their literal like memories in the cells that activate when you go through trauma or things like, it's like so many different complex layers of things that happen. And so once, for people to give credit to those like you both, and to me, and people that actually do the work consistently, when you see someone so deeply in their authenticity of their soul, it's because they worked their ass
Mm-hmm.
off to be there.
Yeah, and what's funny is you'll work, and then you'll kind of get to a plateau. If you notice, like you'll have, like, you'll be just so like just thirsty for knowledge, and you'll just get all this knowledge, and then
Hmm.
to a plateau to where, all right, what am I gonna do now? And then that's the time that you're processing that knowledge. So when you're processing that knowledge, then boom, you'll get another kind of boost of
Yes.
shift up. So it's kind of like, all right, I'm going upstairs. Oh, this has another room. Oh, I'm going in this room. You know, so you get, but you'll think about, man, I hadn't been meditating as much as I used to do this. So I hadn't been doing this. But then you start thinking about, well, wait a minute. I don't meditate this much, but I'm meditating doing this, or I'm open channel doing this. So you start saying that, wow, I'm gradually seeing new ways to connect high and higher.
Yeah.
So even with the cell memory, when I meditate, when I go up, I go into the source energy. So it's like when I go into the source energy, everything that's a part of me goes into that energy. So all the cells are transmuted into that golden light.
That's what I
So,
do.
and so once it's melted in, it's like, should you come back, everything's automatically changed and cleared.
I'm
You
gonna
know what
show
I'm
you.
saying?
I'm gonna show you something while you're sharing. I just feel guided to show you really quick.
Okay.
How do I flip this? Sorry for interrupting.
I know you
What?
get.
Wait a second. Okay, well, here, let me show you.
But that's how we heal ourselves, you know, when and you absorb that golden light. So when you're absorbing that golden light, it's like,
That's beautiful.
all your
This is
cells are here.
this is a close visual representation of what I do all the time. I mean, source's hand, source energy, me, and then.
You're recharging.
But yes, I may cut that out. I'm not sure, but that was just for you guys.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. But that's really what it is, you know. So when people start, you know, recharge or connect to it, when they start doing that and they start really going and connecting to it, it's like that's the purest form of that
Yes.
unconditional love, you know. So it's like you don't want for anything. It's nothing else that you need. It's just this is that pure energy that I am.
Right.
Absolutely, and you are, and both of you are, and it's like I have to say just because I want people to see when I received my necklace. This is from your shop. Tell me your shop on Etsy.
Son of Source Beads. Son of Source Beads on
Son of
Etsy.
Source Beads on Etsy. Really and truly, I want to say, and nobody asked me to say this is from my heart. When I received this, I mean, truly, and this is, again, somebody that normally would only go to Source for healing. The energy that was in these beads, I mean, in these stones, was just so powerful. I mean, the second I touched them, I was like, oh, there's Source. And it made me emotional because honestly, I've gone through so much stress and it's like I've been tested really hard, you know? And so the second that I touched them, it was like, I was like, okay. Yeah, they are very, very connected to Source. And it was just instant activation. So for people who need healing and you may not know how to fully connect to Source yet, I would genuinely recommend like going and checking out their shop because these crystals are very much infused with Source energy and they're just healing all by themselves because of you and because of Source, not just because of the stones.
Well, it's all one. You know, it's all one. It's all connected. You know,
It
and
is.
what's funny is the necklaces. They kind of they pick the people. You know, the stones they pick the people. You know,
They
so
do.
so when they calls out to you, that's the one. You know,
My daughter, I want you guys another time to meet my daughter on video, but her name is Serenity and she's so special. But she she's love. She's just the absolute. I mean, when she was formed in my womb, it's like every day I just surrounded her in source love, source love, source love every single day, and she just embodies that. And she just sees people. She's like, I love you, and she just needs to hug them. And she's just a little beam of just light. But yes, such a gift beyond measure. But when she saw this, she goes, "Mommy, did you get that for me?" And I was like, "For you to wear?" And she was like, "No. Did you get it because you knew I would love it?" And I was like, "Yeah." Because she's love, and she knew. The second she looked at it, she was like, "Oh." So I'm gonna get her actually some stones, and my son some stones from your guys' shop when I'm able to. I'm really excited for that because they need it, but I want to almost like just I want to have them sit down and feel it out and pick it theirself. But there was a set for my daughter that I want to get. I may have you guys actually custom make one for her because she needs something like for protection as well as rose quartz for love. But yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, we'll definitely do that for her.
she's drawn. Yeah, she was so drawn in. She was so okay. So I don't want to keep you guys too long. I want to ask you just a couple questions if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. So while we were, because we were on the topic of you being a husband and wife team, I just wanted to basically ask you if you wanted to share anything for people who are considering working together as a husband and wife team or as a partner team. Basically, like, do you have any advice for people starting out doing work together? Maybe help them navigate, like, what are some things that you can share that like you learned personally from personal experience, maybe to help people, like, because sometimes when a husband and wife or partners work together, it can be a little tricky to kind of navigate that. Maybe if you have some advice.
Oh yeah, yeah. Go ahead. You go first.
It can't be all work. There has to be some play.
Okay.
So definitely have to schedule it, prioritize it for fun, for quality time, because the work can start to overshadow things if you're not careful. So you really do have to leave time for connection.
Yes.
Yeah, and you have to also just leave stuff at home too. Like, say, if you have any negative stress, anything like that, you can't really bring that to your clients or to your, to your
Right.
people. What's funny is we found that in dealing with couples, you see so much as far as like what not to do in your
Yeah.
own relationship. So it's like I know the exact words to diffuse anything as far as argument wise, things like this. So it's like when you see it with other couples, you're like, man, I can see how if he just expressed in this way, and if she just expressed in this way, So not when we're at home, like we deal with stuff like that. So when we're at home, we don't want to argue, and normally we don't because it's so calm. Like it's like heaven at the house. The way because that's we're creating heaven on earth, right? So it's like we can't be at home fussing and fighting in heaven.
Yeah, right.
But our dynamic hasn't really been like the art. When we first got together, we had misunderstandings and was frustrated with each other and things like that. And then over time, we learned how to really deal with our own emotions. So that's what the biggest thing is when you know this is what I'm bringing to this relationship emotionally. This is what I'm bringing to this relationship. So when you're working on, it's not what they're doing or what the other person is doing. What am I doing? How am I contributing? And when you actually know that, and then they do that as well, then you can kind of say, well, you know what? Now I want to make sure that what your emotions, how you're feeling, I want to make sure that I'm gonna hold that in high regard, like really even over mine. And then they do the same thing, so that way we're always protected. We're always divinely protected as well. So it's like it's a healthy balance. I don't know. I can't describe it. It's almost like Source is saying, okay, this is YouTube. Go do it.
Yeah.
So couples, you will feel that. You'll feel that. If you're a husband and wife team, or just a couple that wants to get out and help other couples, you'll feel that energy. And once you begin to get in the flow, because when we work with our couples, like I'm very very talky, and she sits back and she watches and she analyzes. So in that balance, when I'm talking, she's watching body language. She's watching all of these different things. And but the thing is, when she speaks, I listen. I listen. If she says, if she breathes like what you got? What you got? Because it's a healthy balance, because she's seeing something that I don't see. And if she's ready to express it, boom, I'm gonna shut completely up. I'm gonna let her express. So it's a certain level of respect as well. It's like if she says something, I respect whatever she says because she has taught me a lot throughout the years. You know what I'm saying? Like she's taught me a lot because I was willing to listen and learn.
Yes, play upon each other's strengths. It's very focus on what you want, not what you don't want.
Right. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I just gotta say, thank you so much for, and I'm saying this on behalf of the goddess itself and women. Thank you so much for honoring her the way that you just did. That's just beautiful and respectable. It's just so respectable. And I may or may not leave this in, but man, am I having so many soul memories of both of you right now. It's like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, that one too. Okay. Definitely Egypt for sure.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah. But also prior, Atlantis also. And
Atlantis, yeah, as well.
Lemuria for sure. I think Mayan as well, but there's some that yeah, I want to talk to you guys more about. All right. So, what would you say are some of your proudest accomplishments? Excuse me. I got so much channeling in right now. What would you say are some of your most proudest accomplishments of your life so far, both of you?
Oh, I'm gonna let you go first.
Well, definitely our son.
Yes.
Oh,
I want to say our business.
Yeah.
Because we've been working on it for years.
Yes.
definitely.
And it's going to transform and grow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's beautiful. Our peace.
Our peace, yes.
Is the big.
And staying consistent too. Staying consistent. Like the consistency is the biggest thing. So being able to be consistent with it and not letting the ego stop us. And also the music too. The music too, staying consistent with the music as well.
I saw you had I saw a little bit of that recently. I was actually really proud. I was like, oh, he's making some activation music, source music.
Right.
What?
Yeah,
What?
because I've been doing music for a long time, and for a while, you know, I was like trying to like break into the industry and do all kinds of stuff, and that's for years. Like, so I've been doing music for like
Same.
13 years, you know. So when
It's
I think,
been, sorry.
no, how long has it been?
No, I was just gonna say it's been so many years for me, and the thing that stopped me prior was the whole music industry itself. So I've been trying to help find a way to break through in there and like cut that out.
Well, see, the thing about it is it wasn't time to break into it because you don't want to break into the music industry. What you want to do is create your own lane.
Correct.
You know, so now since I've understand creating my own lane, now we're literally creating our own lane. You know, and so that is a huge accomplishment. It's just finding a way to create our own lane. You know,
Absolutely. I mean, you already have it. It's already there.
you just have to catch up to it, right? I mean, it's already there. It's already created. You just have to hold that frequency, that vibration of having it. You know?
Well, I'm literally seeing a highway made of source light, just like it's like cutting straight through, and it's just you're already there, and I see you paving the way for other beings of source light to actually follow. So the more you do it, the more consistent you are with it, and the more you actually have that confidence within yourself to just really push past, as you said, the ego, and like throw that out the window and just really just do what it is that your soul wants to with it. You're going to pave the way for so many people, like generations.
You know, I had a prophetess. She prophesied over me a long. This was probably 15 years ago. How long was that?
2007.
But
I remember that.
it was 2007.
Wow.
And she was like, you know, you need to change the music. And the children are waiting, the kids are waiting for you to change the music.
Turn it around.
Turn it around. So, and I didn't understand what she was saying at that time, you know, and I would continue to make music, but it wasn't the music that I'm making now.
Yeah.
So it was like I wasn't able to connect to that open channel like I am now. So it's like now I see what she was saying, and I thought it was back then at what she was saying, but no, she was saying that it's going to be happening now, and now it's wide open. And I was like, okay, but I had to build myself up to that. I had to open myself up to that channel.
Right. Well, we're also in the middle of the ascension process right now. So now where we are at in our consciousness, but also our physical body is here too. We are in a frequency that the lower frequency energies and presences cannot touch as long as we stay up here. And I also want to give you a divine message as well. And hopefully this will help you moving forward. But it doesn't matter how many people hear your music all around the world. What matters is as you create it, it ripples out. And as it ripples out, it's affecting the whole collective as a whole. So every single time you record and every time you play it, every time you sing it, every time you rap, every time you anything that you emit from your being and your energy out into the world with your music, it's going to continue to ripple out. So even if at first you feel like not a lot of people are hearing it or catching on, don't don't let that discourage you, because that's not even the important part right now.
Right. Thank you for that message. Yes, because those are the things that trigger the ego. We always kind of look at the numbers, and it's like, you know what? We can't really judge or compare on the numbers. What you have to do is make it for the love. If you make it for the love and just put it out there, and just put it out there to give love and to receive love. Just put it out there.
I'm also hearing, yes, and I'm also hearing from somebody who is, my soul is tapped into the different aspects of the music industry. It's just a part of me, but you have to, in your own unique source imprint way, make hit makers. You have to, because is the ones that the simplified mind will catch on to and then want to imitate and copy. The more that they sing your song, the more that they copy, the more that they like listen to it, take it in, the more it catches on, the more the ripples will go out. So just remember, even if it's beneath your consciousness level, make something that's catchy. Make more than one if you want to, but make something that catches on so that people can, it's got to get stuck in here.
Right. Got to be repetition. Right. Absolutely. I feel that. And that's the thing. Like that open channel is that thing. It's kind of like the council of angels sitting around saying, okay, this is what needs to go here. This is what needs to go here. This is what needs to go here. You know.
And
So
it is that they just don't understand exactly how the human brain on this side of it is perceiving it. They're like, look, listen, this is going to work. And then we're like, listen, we did all of that. But we're down here and we're doing this. So I'm going to put a little spin on it, because I get you. You're amazing, but they don't like it. I need to change it up a little bit.
Right. That's what you have to do. It's like a collaborative effort. That's right.
Right. I know you get it. That's why I said that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, I feel like we have so much more that we can talk about, but I don't want to I don't want to drag. I don't want to extend it out too long. I'm gonna say I feel like I'm gonna ask you one more question, and then I think we can close it out for today. But if you guys want to do future episodes, I would love to very, very much. Let me see. I'm trying to sort through here because I have a few questions that I wanted to ask you, but I just love what we've already covered. So let's see. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, I think we can end it on this one. It's like I love talking to you so much. It's a soul remembrance, you know.
That's what it is, right?
It is. It's just touches my heart. Okay, I want to ask both of you this question, and then I think that we'll close it out on this. So, who would you say has inspired both of you the most throughout your life and has made an impact on you that really like, and it doesn't have to be one person or even a person, but who would you say has really like inspired you and made an impact to help really propel you into like your soul journey of where you're at today?
That's a good one.
That is good. You want to go first or want me to go first?
I would have to say Abraham Hicks.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Abraham.
Yeah. Every day I listen to her content. It supports me in my journey. So I really appreciate those channel messages.
Absolutely.
And I hear Abraham in them always, even in my consciousness.
Yes.
So,
I have to agree with that too. Abraham, Dolores as well.
Alba Wyman, yeah.
Alba Wyman for sure. Carol. We were able to meet with Carol. She channels Yeshua, and we were able to get in that community, that circle there, and we've had a couple, readings with her and things like that, and she was just like, I mean, it was beautiful, the interactions with her, and to see her with Alba, and then to be able to communicate and be with her, and talk to her and everything, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. But in the beginning of our journey, what was his name? Breathing in that good ass prana. What was his name?
Oh my God. Hold on.
Ralph Smart. Yeah. Yes, Ralph.
When we first started ingesting the information, he was
right.
Someone we listened to.
Right.
He was a way shower for sure. And you know what's funny? He came to one of my dreams. I want to say twice, but I remember one.
Mm-hmm.
I want to share it with you. But I want to let you continue first, and then I'll share it.
Well, Ralph was one of the first ones that we started really listening to as far as, because he started really talking about things that we were going through. Because me and my wife, we were always, even as children, we always were different than in our families. So she was different. Her family, I was different. Mine, it was just always just different, and was always the one kind of like the families looked at to be like the person that would kind of help them break down information. I mean, even as kids,
Yes.
save money, like whatever it is that they needed, they would, So in that, we always kind of felt like, man, when we got together, we looked back at it and saw that, this is what we were for the family. So that those kind of things were kind of letting us know that we were different, so to speak.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
And when you start really tapping into it, then you start seeing. But what's funny is when the student is ready, the teacher will come. Yeah. So as soon as you start opening up to these new energies, those new energies just start flowing. And when the universe feels like you're ready for it, then that's when it'll come in.
I've said that sentence so many times. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, most importantly, Christ energy, because we channel every morning, every evening. Mm-hmm. We allow them to come through. We convene. So
and we connect to the magnet energy too. So Jasmine connects to the magnet
masculine
energy.
Aspects of it.
Right. So in that, it's like deeply rooted in that. It's deeply rooted in that because past life regressions, like we were married. We were married in basically the marriage ceremony. We were part of that marriage ceremony. When Yeshua and Mary were married, me and Jasmine were married. In that same ceremony. And so when they were talking about changing water into wine, things like that, I know that process because I was present. You know what I'm saying? Now I don't tell anyone those things, like, because I just don't. I don't tell anyone, these things that we deeply know. There's certain things that we don't express. But yeah.
And if you want, I can cut this out, this part.
No, that's fine. You can, but I normally don't. Because just because it's normally deeper than than what people really understand. So, you know.
And the reason why we're safer now, even though the brain and the spirit, the physical spirit still feels those fears, it is because of the fact that we have ascended. And so we're having this conversation on the other side of where we couldn't before.
Right.
Right.
We couldn't before. And the thing is we were not safe prior, but we are now, even though it's still scary to think about, like, well, what if the wrong person hears that? And then no, it doesn't exist here, and we can't let it.
Right.
But I hear you wholeheartedly. And I was also present during that time. And the thing is, I mean, I'll just go ahead and say it since I feel called to, but the reason we've also been brought together today for this is because the three of us, as well as a handful of others, we are some of the original souls incarnated on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And I may not put this piece in here, I'm not sure yet, but we are some of the original souls that came here in the first place. There was essentially 4 levels of the project, right? So for whatever purpose it is that I'm guided to share this today, I'll listen later on to see if this is going in there. But essentially, so the first project was scrapped because it just wasn't like the beings that they wanted to create. And so the beings that were here, it wasn't the right formula of different hybrid. It was like not quite the perfect human, right? And then the second one, which is when Dolores talks about the 3 waves of volunteers, the second one was actually the first of what Dolores talks about. And so that happened during a very, very long period of time. So prior to the 3 waves, the first part of the project was Lemuria. And Lemuria, when that happened, Earth, the beings on Earth were much more evolved, and the strands of DNA were actually much more activated, and so they were able to levitate. They were able to be not bound by the physical limitation and the mental limitations that humans have had up until recently. When people are saying like your superpowers are being unlocked and stuff like that. But so that Lemurian time, basically what happened was, and I'd learned this through doing my own past life regression sessions in quantum healing hypnotherapy to confirm, is wasn't planned. Divinely it was planned. I didn't plan it. So during the channeling of the first one in Lemuria, because the client wanted to know, were they present during the time of Atlantis and Lemuria? And it was an older woman. She didn't know anything about any of that stuff consciously. I was asking questions. Her higher self came in, then her guides came in, then the councils came in, and they were giving me answers. So it was like I was innocently going through all these sessions, and I'm just trying to ask normal questions that these people had to learn about their past life, and I'm having councils and ETs and everybody coming in like, finally we can talk to you, Jesus Christ.
Right, they was happy. Right.
So yeah, so the first wave, and this is all divinely guided, and I suppose it's just meant to be shared right now. So Lemuria happened, and so when that happened, they were being told by ETs that they needed to stop their projects that they were doing, because they were basically trying to create a new universe. And so when they did that, they didn't listen. And I was part of so I was, this is the first time I'm sharing this publicly. So I was actually first I was a record keeper, and I was a shaman. I was actually a male. Then that was to help facilitate keeping the records of the time of that period on Earth. Then I came back in my higher self form, which was a goddess, and I was leading the high priestesses, teaching the high priestesses to teach the priestesses, and I was basically helping them to facilitate like sending down the goddess lineage into the high priestess, the high priestess into the priestess, and from generations up. So babies entering into toddler, young women's the maiden entering into womanhood, womanhood entering into the elder, which is the crone. And so I was facilitating that. I've done that many lifetimes. And so during that time, the scientists at the time didn't listen. They tried to create a universe. Essentially, they they created an earthquake so bad that the Earth's mantle cracked, and everything between California, Hawaii, and Japan sunk into the bottom of the ocean.
Wow.
And so since being here in this exact part of the coast, have been shown that this was the part of Lemuria that I actually lived on before the rest of that continent sank.
Right.
And
Because
so
your
when
energy supports that. Your energy
yes,
supports.
and the energy from all the things that we did in Lemurian times that still exists in the rocks and in the stones and that we infused is still in them. So even in the land, it's still in the land. That's why Hawaii is so sacred. That's why Japan is so activated. And that's why California is where everybody wants to go, because they all still contain that energy. The second thing, the second project was Atlantean times, and essentially history repeated itself. The humans, the beings here, were given more activated strands of DNA, but not as much. Thoth was there, Emerald tablets, that time period. And so essentially, the overseers were trying to make sure, like, okay, let's see if they can actually get it together this time. They didn't. They tried to create a black hole. They caused another catastrophic event, and Atlantis happened. Everything fell. A lot of people died. But there were some voices in the council that basically said, "Look, this is a really special planet. I feel like they can potentially actually get it together. This whole ascension process is like essentially like a lot of light being streamed in and poured into to fast track the evolutionary process on the planet to see if enough beings can wake up and into who they are, then they can have a bigger percentage of a possibility of actually saving themselves from history repeating themselves again." But then we had things like CERN, which was them turning on the CERN generators and trying to switch us into a different dimensions, and they were trying to stop. Yeah. So they were trying to stop the process, and I was having dreams over the last several years of like me being given downloads of what was going to happen and what to look out for, and there was going to be a lot of people there was going to be a lot of people that were going to be passing because they're not moving into this next part of the process with us, etc. So what happened was we were actually shifted interdimensionally. Like they literally put us into an ascended state because they saved us. Like they literally saved us from whatever that was. And the beings that are still in the lower dimensional timelines, for whatever the reason they chose to stay there, they've been the ones that have been trying to pull our consciousness back down. And I've been noticing that they try to reach through different things. Like 3 days, my family members that I had to let go of have been coming to my dream for 3 days straight.
Wow.
So I don't know what the purpose, why I needed to share all of that with you was, but apparently it needed to be said. So maybe to help bring some enlightenment to, wherever you're at now and kind of bridge the gap and connect the dots.
No, we understand that definitely. I mean, because in this shift, you're going to lose family members and everything. And you're absolutely right. I mean, that definitely rang a bell because you know, they're gonna try different ways to pull you back into it, you know. And it's just, and the choice is, are you going to choose your higher vibration, your higher frequency, or are you gonna dip back into it?
Right.
And seeing those are those choices that we have to make. And when you choose to keep that high vibration, you continue to just keep moving, keep going, and keep growing. It's almost like a bright light that's moving forward, right? And then when you dip down into the stress or the frustration, then it just kind of stops momentum. And then everything is still waiting for you right there. And then when you come back, then you pick up where you left off and keep moving. And you still have this journey to go. But a lot of times, it's easier for you to keep going than it is for you to stop. You know,
Right.
it's easier to keep. I mean, you are almost there. You know what I'm saying? And just continue to keep going. And of course, you're always going to be growing and evolving and things like that. So you're always going to be reaching higher frequencies, higher vibrations. But it's just when you get into that point of just bliss to where it's just coming easily to you, to where it's just nature. You know, if you see something happen, you automatically see the good, or you automatically see the light in it.
Right.
You automatically in that frequency.
If it feels hard, if it feels like struggle, if it feels like not enough or lack, then those are those energies trying to pull you into it. And that's why certain family and friends you have to set those boundaries with.
You have to, because if not, then it's going to automatically feed off of your energy, because it feeds off of your energy, because you have to get down into it.
You can relate to this, but I had to recognize consciously, even deeper than ever before, that I am the source of my family. They don't have a connection to, well, family and multiple friends and people that I was connected with, because my connection is so close to source and I am so intrinsically, plugged in. They don't even know how to find that. And so I became source for so many. And you know what that is and what that feels like. But see, the thing is for me is that I was dealing with so much stress and lower frequency energies and densities and just people's anger and outbursts from my oldest son and my ex and just all the crazy stuff, right? So it was lowering my frequency down and they were drawing from me. So it was just a constant battle, just a constant battle. And yes, and because I want people to hear this, to anybody that's struggling with feeling like this heavy guilt that comes with having to distance yourself from family members or cut communication with people that are being unhealthy or toxic to you. It's not easy, and it's not going to feel easy, and you're going to feel guilty, and it's gonna, if you have the kind of heart that I have, where you're just so used to always being there for them and being treated like you're taken advantage of, and you're just kind of there, but they expect you to be there and you better be there or they're going to be upset with you, right? You have to change your viewpoint on how you approach the situation, because the thing that helped me was, and it's really, it's a process. It's not going to all happen at one time. Maybe for some people, but not. It didn't happen like that for me. It's a process, and it's a journey of uncovering the different layers of feeling like it's your job to be there for them versus feeling nurtured and loved and supported by them. If you don't feel that same love and same energy back from them, that they care about you like you care about them, and they're treating you like they don't really care about how you're doing, but they want you to care about how they're doing and be there for them, it's not a two-way street. And that's where you have to realize that you can give yourself permission to put yourself first. And that is okay to do that and not feel guilty for it.
Well, that's why it's kind of like, it's like my inner guidance is like, they just yelling at me like it's a diamond in the rough, because you pick this pressure at this point, at this time, so you can become that diamond. you know,
Mm-hmm.
because of the pressures on those sides. You know, if you were comfortable in that energy, and if it was just giving you halfway love and you were comfortable in that halfway love, you wouldn't want to ascend or go to something greater or something higher. You would want to stay in that energy that you're just comfortable in, you know. So, but with this pressure, with the things that's kind of pulling and tugging on you, it's like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel like my natural self. It doesn't feel like love. It doesn't feel like who I am. So then
Mm-hmm.
it's causing us to kind of focus on the things that does make us feel love, or does make us feel connected. And then when you start focusing on those things, you start realizing that those are the things that connect me more to source compared to the things that disconnect me to source, you know. And if you look
Right.
at a lot of like the family stress and anger and frustrations, all of those things are normally lives that the ego has created, you know.
Correct.
And it's just certain lessons that we have set for ourselves to learn at certain times, and also certain times to wake up to. Because those times where we were saved, those could have been exit points for us as well. You know, we could have chosen to leave at those times. You know,
Yeah.
but our energy was like, no, I want to stay and continue the mission. I want to continue to move forward. You know, I want to be reminded of the love. So each time that you were saved, you were just reminded of that love, and it helps you just recharge and connect. You know.
Yes, absolutely. So I was laughing because a part of me was like, I don't know why I did that, but then the other part of me was like, because of your kids,
That's
your
right.
children.
They're right. They were supposed to be here. They have journeys too. You know, they had chosen you as that vessel. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things going. You know, it's a lot of moving parts. You know.
My children, and truthfully, um, I'm such a okay. So my partner, his name is Jeremy. So he loved Kobe, right? And he loves the ones that are greatness, right? He's drawn into the masters. So he just loves Kobe, though. I mean, okay, but get bless you, Kobe. Um, so so he always is like he's always talking about, like, Kobe's mindset, and not always, but when he talks about him, he's always like Kobe's mindset, the way he approached things, the way he came into the court, and the way he just dominated, and he had that confidence and that mindset, right? So when I have explained to him certain things, and I don't mean to make him sound simpler than he is, because my partner Jeremy, he's actually very in depth, and he's a very old soul, um, but there's certain things about him. He's just got that lighter nature, he's simple, more simple. And so anyways, I'll explain to him, like, because he's asked me, like, why do you keep doing it? Like, if you know you've been attacked so much, if you know you've been fighting for so long, if you're so exhausted at this point that you've been fighting this fight for all this time, why do you keep doing it? Like, what do you get out of it? Like, what do you even, like, is Source at least, this is his exact words. He's like, is Source at least going to reward you at the end of this? Like, is it going to get better for you? This is prior to us getting our house and having, a lot of things coming in now, thankfully. And I am thankful. But I told him, I said, because I just have this way of being in my soul that it's just like I have to achieve greatness. And it's like I've published a book and I've done all these things and I'm blah, blah, blah. And it's never like, oh my God, I did all this great stuff and everybody needs to just applaud for me. It's like, I just have to achieve greatness. I have to do everything I came here to do and more. And I got to make sure I do it right. And I got to do it with excellence. Because if I'm not doing that, I don't feel settled within my soul. And if I don't feel settled in my soul, I can't die at peace. So I got to keep going.
Hey, tell
you know?
Jeremy he's one of those gifts from Source as well. Tell Jeremy he's one of those gifts from Source as well to you. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Yes.
one of the blessings. That's one of the perks. It's like Source brought you into my life. You know, all of these
Mm-hmm.
things are things that are really, real blessings to us. That we really, I mean, all of it. When you actually start looking at all the things that you can be thankful for and the gratitude, you know. So when you
Thank
start
you for
looking at it,
that.
it's like, man, like The one big one is you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what my inner guys was just like, I mean, he was one of them. You know what I'm saying?
He needs to hear that, because to be honest, he has struggled really heavily due to the amount of attacks that we did go through these last 2.5 years. It's really taken a toll on him, and I deeply feel for him, and he's undergoing a lot of healing as well at this time. So thank you very much for saying that.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
want him, yeah, I want him to hear that. I do tell him, but I feel like it would mean a lot to hear that from you, because I know he feels it, and how much you are also both connected to Source.
Well, you had to go through those things. Y'all had to go through those things to get to where you are. If you notice, anytime that we lose something major, because we've lost some major things, like, I mean, stuff that it was just like, it was crazy. It was weird how it happened. But it was just like,
Yeah.
it had to happen so we can actually move forward. Because if not, we wouldn't have moved forward. We would have stayed in our comfort zone. We would have stayed in that.
Yes.
Stayed here. So these things had to happen, and also we was able to learn through those things. Men relationships, speak to people, see people, and really spend time with them that we never knew that we may not be able to spend time with. Those kind of things. When you
Right.
look back on it, you're like, man, this had to happen so this could happen. And then I was able to mend this relationship, something that had been lying dormant inside that I had to heal from lifetimes. And I was able to heal that because I had to move into this space and be here. I had to go through this situation. So it's like, when you start looking, it's just like the universe always wanted me to succeed. I just had to be in the mind state to succeed.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
in the
Very
ego,
much.
you're like, why am I losing this? Man, I miss my old stuff. And then now your spirit's just like, the old stuff don't even compare to what you got right now. You know what I'm saying? The old stuff is just literally old stuff. You know what I'm saying?
To be honest, when I let go of all that stuff, like the physical, I mean, that was like 17 years of accumulation. I mean, of course, I got rid of things in between, but I mean, just thousands of dollars, and then to like stop working as a nurse and do, and then have to be like on government assistance and do all the things, right? And of course, like I already did that before, but it's just going back into that, and like having to, start over, completely over, and then let everything go, all my material possessions, and leave with garbage bags of clothes in my trunk, and drive 5 hours away, and on faith, on literal just faith.
See, all that
Um,
stuff was created by the ego. You know what I'm saying? So
mm-hmm.
it was not, it held a low frequency, a low vibration.
Yes.
So there was no way that it could go into this shift and transition that you're in right now. All
I
of that stuff.
cleared that. Sorry, I
No,
cleared
no,
that
go
stuff
ahead.
so many times, and there was no clearing it. It was so deeply rooted in those lower energies that there was no clearing it. I had to let it all go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's one of those choices that you made.
Hmm.
It's a choice that you made.
I mean, to be honest with you, it got to the point where I was like, after we leave, I don't even care if that house burns down.
You let go of that energy. Just once you let it go, you can let it go.
Like, I don't wish it on anybody, but it was so bad. The energy was so bad there. I was like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I feel like I should probably we should probably conclude it, just because I don't want to keep you guys too long. And I definitely want to say, though, I would love to connect with you both more. I definitely feel like we're supposed to talk more, and this, like I said, this feels like a divine meeting, 100%.
Absolutely. Well, we're definitely
And
open to it.
thank you so much. It means a lot to me. And Jasmine, I just want to say thank you for being on, because I feel like you don't often come on to things like this on video. So thank you so much for being present. It's, to me, honors is very important, and it's how I operate in my heart and soul. So, just know that your presence is also very much appreciated, and thank you. And you as well. Thank you very much for being here.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I'll tell you, the biggest thing is, like, when I'm on, especially stuff like this, I
Yeah.
love to have her with me because really that is that balance. I mean, it really is. I
Yes.
mean, it's the balance
Mhm.
because I've learned so much from her to where it's just like, man, because the talking part of it, I got that part, but the actual sitting back and listening. So she's taught me how to sit on my hands and listen and watch, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that aspect of it. So I'm just like, man, it's a balance. So anytime that I'm on, I would love to have her with me, you know.
Absolutely. And I appreciate both of you being here. And with you, it's like I just have to say you you always would be the being that you are regardless, but I can see the ways that she helps you to amplify and be all that you are even greater, because she creates so much grounding and structure and support in the energy for you that it's like if you didn't have her there, you would not be as grounded, like I said, but also as like feeling purposeful. Like you have like this drive and like this mission and this purpose. And so that's why I said like I just appreciate so much that you honor her the way that you do, because I can see her. You're in the background and you're like, all right, go, 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 go. I got you. I got all this over here. You just go do that.
And what's funny is that balance is like with her business, like, and that's how I am. I do the appointments, I set the bookings, I call the clients, like, you know. So when we're at the office, she's Dr. Myers, and so
Mm,
I'm answering phone calls, I'm meeting the clients when they come in. If I'm not doing the live, that's what I'm doing. I'm greeting the clients, giving them water, whatever it is. So it's like she has the front, like in our business. I've always kind of like took that back seat and let her go because this is her practice, you know. So put that and wanted to make sure that she's always been out. And I'm like, you're the queen of this thing, like, you know, always continue to move forward. And she does that with any of my music. She supports all the music, any kind of crazy harebrained schemes that I have. You know, so she's like, if it's reasonable, you know, you know.
she's like, yep, that's a great idea. You should do that.
And we're
uh,
doing it. You know, it's not just like,
mm.
okay, we should do. No, we're doing it, and then boom, we're doing it. You know.
You reminded me of my father. I didn't know him till I was 20, and then when I finally got a chance to know him, he was already like he kind of lost his mind a little bit, but he was a funny guy, and he's mixed, so he's Portuguese and Brazilian, Spanish, and German, which is such a weird mix. Um, so but he always told me, and this was like he never really talked about spiritual stuff all that much. But he would always tell me he was an old black man in a Portuguese man body. And he'd just play his harmonica and ride his bike down the street, and he'd sit down in front of the store and play his harmonica for people, and he's always telling you the same stories over and over again, but he's going to tell you with the same enthusiasm. But he used to always tell me all his ideas, and they were great. They were great. Don't get me wrong. But but it's the follow through, which you have the follow through. He did not have the follow through. But he would just, I'm gonna come up with all right, I'm gonna do, it's gonna be called Pecos Pete's hot dog stand, and it's gonna have a pig with wings, and it's gonna be he's just telling me all, and I was, the hype man, really. I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. I was like, I like that. You know what you could do, and then giving him the ideas. I was like, knowing full well he's not gonna do it, but just feeling that support and love that he never had.
That's his inner guidance. Just think about it. His inner guidance was giving him them ideas,
Yeah.
and if shoot, he went through it, boy. Hey, shoot, Pecos hot dog it's been out there. You know, it's been out there.
I told Jeremy, I said, one of these days when I have the money to do it, I want to create one of his ideas. I think it's going to be the Pecos Pete's, like probably like one of his, either the barbecue or the hot dog. I think it might be the barbecue, but I got to make a Pecos Pete's something just in honor of him, because his dreams were so big.
Well, channel him and then have him give you the idea, and then that way you can have the blueprint.
Yes, and he also dreamed of being a famous musician. Like music is in the blood for all of us, but he just, I mean, I've always done music. I played piano and I was sang and I always did music, forever, but again, just now do I feel safe to actually do it. But he was determined to be a famous musician and singer, and so for him I also feel like I want to do some of the things that he never got to experience in his lifetime because he just had so many limitations. I want to make it happen.
So what if those wasn't his ideas? What if there were ideas that you had asked him to tell you about before you both came?
Mm-hmm. Could
So
be.
because if you're saying, in my lifetime, I wanted to at least do one of these things. It's something inside of you saying that, you know what, this idea I have to do. This idea I have to do.
Well, I mean, is very possible because when I didn't know him, like I said, till I was about 21, and when I learned about him, all the things he said he loved and did, I did. So I played basketball, that was my thing. I played piano, that was his thing, right? He played basketball, he played piano. I ran track, he ran. So it's like I did all these things that lined up, and then I was like, I didn't understand why I loved it so much, whatever. And so then it got to a point where when I finally started learning about him, it was like, oh. And then I'm the direct descendant of the first woman to ever have a statue made of her in America, Hannah Dustin. Uh, yeah, and that's on my father's side. All these things that I learned about the bloodline. So, and then the where they're from in Portugal is the Pico Azores Islands, and it turns out that exact island has a temple that's one of the oldest pyramid temples on the planet.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's all connected.
It is. It's all connected.
It is. There's a very intricate divine plan between every little detail.
It is. Wow.
Well, I loved having you guys on so much. And please don't be a stranger.
Oh yeah. Hey, anytime, just let us know and we'll be ready.
Well, if you guys would like to, I definitely can come up with some structures that we can talk about new topics and things like that, because we have so many things. I would love to talk more about past lives. I feel like that's something that people love to delve into and hear real stories on. And honestly, I feel like if there's a time that we can actually be brave enough to talk more about them without giving too much,
Right. Yeah, because we got some interesting stuff, I'll tell you.
I know. Well, I'll say I know that, but I'm not going to say what it is, but I know that. So, so, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for being on. I loved having you on so much. You're honestly such a joy, such a joy.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you for having us. And your podcast is great, and I know it's going to do great things. It's connecting.
Thank you.
A lot of great people. So, hey, we're all coming together as one, So that light is going to continue to shine, So you're
100%.
a platform with a beacon, So it's just shining out. So thank you for having us.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being on, and thank you for shining your light with me into the world, because that's what this is all about. It's not about the me and the situation. It's about the purpose and the mission. And I just really want to help to bring everybody together, and support each other, because at the end of the day, like I always say, we're all just walking each other home.
Right. Absolutely. That's beautiful. Well, just know that we love you and thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I love you both back very much. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being on, and I will see you and talk to you very soon.
Sounds great.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.